Essen, we still have the. Okay, perfect. Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our live uh, virtual career hour. We have this every 2 weeks going forward. And today our topic is going to be IT. We already did a previous session where we talked about the basics of what IT is, but the goal today is going to be focusing on the nuances and of specific types of careers. We're going to focus, we have three IT professionals with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about enterprise data and then enterprise data. And we're also going to talk a little bit about other types of career paths in IT. And the goal for our session will be to make it free flowing so you guys can ask questions as we go along. So I'll start it off by introducing myself. Oh, and before we start, of course, we should start with the name of Allah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praise and thanks are to Allah for allowing us to have this session and being here today. So my name is Zohaib Kumar. I'm not an IT professional, but I'll be kind of guiding the session along for our experts today. And I'd like each of them to kind of take a minute, just introduce themselves, and I will mention we have a few speakers, and one of them does sometimes he's having internet issues, so Saad K will be dropping in and out, so just be patient with him for that. So I'll start it off, and I'll turn it over to Saad J. Saad Javed, do you want to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Saad Javed. I graduated from Queens College in New York. So, my responsibilities or my title today is the Vice President of Enterprise Data Management and Enablement at Signet Jewelers. Signet Jewelers is a company that has a couple of jewelry brands underneath it. So, some of the major jewelry brands that you know of, Zales, Kay, Jared, People's, Pagoda, and some in the UK as well are all under Signet Jewelers. So I work for Signet Jewelers. Been there for about 6 years. And a fun fact about myself is that I'm currently in Dallas. So,
MashaAllah, perfect. Thank you, Saad. I'll turn it over to our other Saad, Saad K. Do you want to introduce yourself and share a fun fact about yourself?
Sorry, I was having connection issues. Um, my name is also Saad, and I currently work for FactSet as a project manager, project analyst. And there's different dimensions of my day-to-day job. Um, of course, one side is it's project management, being able to have the status of the projects and understand the roadmaps. But the other side of the dimension is um, it's more tactical, right? It's to drive the direction of a company or a program towards a certain product or towards a certain service that we're offering. And we
Okay.
offer.
Saad,
Yeah.
we're going to go back to talk more about the details of your career. We'll finish intros first.
Uh-huh.
So I'll turn it over to Imran Bhai. Imran, can you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Imran Afzal, and I've been in IT for over 20 years. And I graduated from Baruch College, City University of New York. I did my computer information systems from there, and then I did my MBA from NYT. Sorry about that. All right, this is what happens when you're in IT. Okay, so yeah, that was my academic. For my professional career, I started off at Time Warner Cable, moved to Wall Street, then Saks Fifth Avenue, and then HBO, and now I'm with Rackspace. I manage the team of 50 plus system administrators, system engineers all around the globe. And aside from my professional work that I do for companies, I also have my own little company where I teach. I'm a Udemy instructor with over 270,000 students worldwide and many other platforms as well. Fun facts. Actually, my weaknesses became my fun facts. I was very scared of heights. I was very scared of like roller coaster rides and stuff like that. But I overcame my fear. I went in there, and now jumping off the plane, scuba diving, things like that. These are the fun facts about me, and I love them.
MashaAllah. Oh, thank you guys for the introduction. So I'll turn it over to Saad K. Do you want to speak a little bit more about your career? I know you started talking about what it is that you do, what your career topic means. Would you like to continue?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. So basically, as I was saying, I work for FactSet. We're basically a
I'm
data-driven.
sorry to interrupt. I'm having a little hard time hearing you. I don't know if it's just me or everyone else.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So as I was saying, I work for FactSet Research Systems, which we're a data-driven company, a fintech. We provide data to investment bankers, portfolio managers. We do analytics. Some of our clients are Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, large investment firms. And my day-to-day role is around project management and program management. So as I was stating earlier, uh, some of the things we do is, of course, more of core project management where we keep track of projects, IT projects where we're delivering products and services. But the other dimension is that we um, do a lot of tactical or strategic initiatives where we're driving the direction of the company towards what the clients are currently in market for, right? Um, and I interact with different groups of people: engineers, product managers, directors. Um, I've only had an opportunity to sit in a room once with our CEO. I mean, not much, but directors, product managers, engineers are most of the folks that we interact with day-to-day basis. Um, Other than that, in terms of entering this career, I studied accounting, but I later on studied business analytics. And then you can take your PMP exams. Uh, you need about 4,500 hours, working hours, to be able to qualify to take the exam. The exam is not that difficult, but you do need to study for it. There are multiple certifications that you can take to help you in this career. It is not you don't need a master's to get into this career, for example, but you don't have to have an IT background as well. My manager, she went to a prestigious university, Cornell, but studied English. But now she's doing extremely well in leading some of the bigger programs for the company, which derives, I would say, 30% of the revenue that we create. Do you have any specific questions that I can answer? Or
Sure. Well, so I think that's a good background to kind of how you got into your career, what your educational background was. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like on a day-to-day basis? What is it that you do? So if an average person wants to come to your office and see what you're doing, what is it you're doing for your clients or for your company?
Absolutely. So day-to-day routines are our calendars are filled with meetings. I would say on a daily basis, if you're working on an 8-hour shift, I would say 5 to 6 of those hours are just meetings, and those meetings are around strategy, understanding how we're going to move our projects forward, and if there are any roadblocks, issues, how do we solve those problems, right? Who do we go to? Is it an engineering side? Is it a product side? Is it that we don't have the capacity or we don't have the resources? Or is it we don't have a budget for it, right? And then as you begin to dig more into some of the issues or roadblocks that we call it, um, you have to understand and find a way to escalate some of those problems and understand who do you go to. But on the same spectrum, the project management side is where you're working with teams. Um, uh, you're fleshing out the project details, understanding each step that is needed to complete a product, and you draw timelines with your teams and understand that does my team have the capacity or capability to complete a project within a timeline that's given.
Okay, perfect. No, that's helpful. And then the projects that you're working on, just so people get an idea, what are the types of projects? Are you guys upgrading a client interface system where somebody goes to your company's website? What type of projects do you guys work on?
So this proof is, again, as I mentioned in my intro, so we provide data for portfolio managers, investment bankers. So we do create a lot of those investment banking portfolios, or portfolios you can say, or quote unquote, if you want to go into finance terms, some of the statements that the like the income statement, the balance sheet statements that the portfolio managers will use, and the data they will collect in order to define a meaningful investment, right? Whether it's stock market or just having a personal portfolio, or whether it's 401k. Almost everything now is data driven. So we use a lot of historical data. We collect the data. Sometimes we buy the data, and then we showcase that data into our core product, which is called the workstation, where these investment bankers and portfolio managers are able to go to download the data and use our analytics, or they can create their own analytics.
Perfect. That's really helpful. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Sajid. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about your background, how you got into it, into your career path, and what it's like to work in your career, and how your career impacts the company that you work for?
Sure. So I have a degree in anthropology, so not related to IT at all. So good news is you can be successful in IT without an IT degree. As far as how I got into IT, knew a friend who got me a job, and then from there, that's a very low-level job, and that's from there I continued to move up in the ranks. So I echo Sadke's point around not needing to have an IT degree. Anybody can really start with that. That's one of the beauties of the IT industry. I do recommend having a bachelor's, and I do recommend having a master's as well at some point. You don't need it to get started, but I think it's recommended, because if you get to a certain point, you do want executives. If you get up to director or VP level, they look at those things and want to make sure you have a master's degree. So as far as my responsibilities go within the organization, in a nutshell, it's to enable data and analytics technologies. So there's a saying, data is the new oil and agility is the new gold. What that basically means is the companies that are able to best utilize their data to make decisions are going to come out on top and are going to have a competitive advantage. So I'll give you one example of that. We created a model that will allow us or kind of optimize our fulfillment strategies. So where we ship our diamonds from. So we have about 2,200 stores, and we have a distribution center. And we have the ability to ship from all the stores as well as the distribution center. So when a purchase is made on our website for a ring, do we want to send it from the distribution center? Which one is most cost effective? Is it the distribution center or is it the stores? And if you want to send it from the stores, do you want to sell it from the store where that ring sells like hotcakes, or do you want to sell it from a store where the ring has been sitting there for 6 months not being sold? So that's one example of a model that can help. One way a data and analytics can help reduce cost, make it easier, make us more faster in meeting our customers' needs. There's like hundreds of examples, and it's not like pennies we're talking about. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars in terms of revenue upgrades, revenue recapture, revenue increase, or cost savings that data analytics enables. So basically, my responsibility is a little bit more at an executive level. So as far as technologies go, that's what I enable. But I don't really deal with coding that much anymore, or at all. My responsibilities on a day-to-day basis are to meet with executives typically at the C-suite level, understand what the priorities are, and make sure I kind of negotiate with them on what is possible 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, come up with that roadmap, set those expectations, and then work with my team to go execute on that. So handling budget, handling resources, making sure we have the right staff, scaling up, scaling down, and I could have anywhere between 20 to 100 people at any given time. Based on contractors, we go up and down. So that's kind of my responsibility in a nutshell. I basically enable technologies to help the company make data-driven decisions.
And then if somebody was at I think that's really cool that in your field you're helping come up with technologies or improving technologies or data to help the company make better decisions about which products they sell, how they sell them. I want to do what you do. Where would they get started in terms of like what is your field called if they were to start researching it and learn more about it? How do they go about getting into that field and kind of following in your footsteps?
So that's a good question. There's a lot of different umbrellas around data and analytics. Um, so I'll just name a few off the top of my head and pick one and get certified and start to either learn about that technology or start to network with somebody who can get you an internship, and that's where you get started. So big data is one of them. AI, machine learning, reporting, visualizations, data warehousing, data engineering. And I realized I might be going super fast on this. So at some point later on, if any of you need this information, Zahaib can always reach out to me and I can come up with a list. But those are some things that come off the top of my head. The other thing you can do is just Google it, data and analytics capabilities, and you'll find a whole list of things that you can get started with.
Perfect. Thank you, Saad. That was really helpful. I'll turn it over to Imran Pai now. Imran, do you want to speak a little bit about your career, what it is that, just similar to what the other Saads mentioned? I think you're on mute.
Sorry. All right, so I was going to say that what Saad Khan mentioned earlier, that most of its day is about meeting. My day, pretty much the same. Half of my day is filled with meetings. If I'm lucky, half day. Otherwise, it's pretty much almost 6 hours. The reason I am in meetings, or Saad or other Saad are mostly in the meetings, because we actually gone through a lot of technical stuff in our life, and where we are today is where we got to see to make decisions, who are the right people to run the business, what are the right people to hire. So a lot of things go like include these type of things. So what are those meeting consist of? Meaning, based on what my background is, I started off as a system administrator. So anything that has to do with infrastructure, when I say infrastructure, it means like management of operating system, Linux, Windows, VMware, um, anything related to that is part of the infrastructure. So when we conduct these meetings, I need to make sure all my subordinates, all people that report to me, they are doing the job what they need to. We support thousands of customers where I work. So we provide two type of services at where my company is. One is the service where we support our customers' infrastructure. Maybe they have all their hardware gear in a data center somewhere, maybe like California, and we support their systems. And the second is that they wanted to bring their applications and they wanted to run on our data centers. So these are two different type of services that we provide. So a lot of times customers have issues. They're getting a downtime, they're outages. So a lot of times that's why I'm most of the time on meetings. So I have to jump from one meeting to another. Sometimes it gets so tough that even I'm having my lunch while I'm on a meeting. But anyway, there are good weeks, there are bad weeks. Um, so that's pretty much what my day to day is. Now, from my background, I'll start and I'll come to where I am today in terms of my career. As I said, I started off as a system administrator, and I didn't know um, where wanted to start in IT when I got into IT. Because when you are in college, like I did my bachelor's and I did in computer information systems, and you don't know where you're going to go to. You could go to network side, system administration, application, data analytics, so many different fields. So I didn't know, I didn't have a clear path. So the one thing that definitely helped me, what Saad Jawad said, is the internship. I got into the internship right at my last year in my college. That actually defined my path. That's where I started learning, hey, what are the different fields out there? Which field do I like? Do do I really want to work in this field or not? So that really helped, and that's my advice to everyone. Start with internship. So I started off with the internship, also with Time Warner Cable. And when I finished my internship, they extended it. And then luckily, I got the job there as well. And I got into system administration, beginning supporting with Solaris environment, then moved into Linux environment. Then, as you go into IT field. Initially, you could get into one or two specific field, but as you go more deep down into it, you got to know a lot of things about IT. So you have to be a jack of all trades. So right now, I know how VMware works, how networking works, how database works. So you need to know these things if you want to be at that level. So um, so that's pretty much my bread and butter. But then you should always keep your eyes open for different opportunity as well. So I see this opportunity. Actually, there are people who actually help you out in life. So there was one person, my mentor, who helped me out, showed me a way of different things that I could do with my skills. So he introduced me to Udemy and instruction, the training world. And when I started teaching, I found out that's my calling. So that's what everybody said. The way I explain things is it's a lot easier than other instructors. So I found this very helpful. Started off with one course, then I now I have almost like 17 courses on Udemy and many on different platforms. And primarily my I teach on the technology side. I teach Linux, Solaris, VMware, Windows. And as I moved into this field, I noticed a lot of people ask me the same question. I'm sure a lot of people have the same question after this discussion is, how do we get into IT? How do we, where I don't have an experience. Can I still get into IT? So I started creating a lot of these courses as well to help these people who want to get into IT. What are the right field? What are where they should start off with? So definitely. By the way, I'm not making a pitch or sale for my course, but anybody who needs any of my courses, I'm willing to give them a free of cost as long as it will help you guys. So that's where I am, and today I'm getting so busy with my training world that I'm thinking most likely probably this year gonna be my last year where I have to work for someone, and I'm gonna do on my own with my training world.
MashaAllah. Thank you, Imran Bhai. So
Sure.
we got a question that came in. It says, is it important to get certifications or have experience to land a job? So we'll go, from the top to the bottom and get your thoughts for each of you on that. Is it better to get a certification or try to get real world experience? Which is better in terms of getting a full-time job? So I'll start off with Saad J. What do you think?
I think one enables the other. So you get a certification. That's how you land an internship or a job to get experience.
Perfect. Imran Bhai?
A lot of times people do ask for experience. But if you do not have experience, then certification is the way to go. Definitely, certification helps, and of course, when you have that on your resume, you definitely have a higher chances of the ones that who doesn't.
Saad K?
Yeah, I think you guys hit it right on point, but it depends on the seniority level of your job that you're applying to, right? If you're applying to an entry level job, then certifications may do it. But if you're looking for something more senior level, then of course they would ask for multiple years of experience. But I think getting into IT with boot camps or certifications could serve to get your first step into the door and get you started from there.
Oh, thank you guys. In terms of certifications, is there any like someone new who's maybe switching careers? Maybe they were doing med school because their parents forced them to go into medical school route, and then they say, "No, I hate medicine. I don't want to do it. I want to do IT." And they have no place to start or reference guide. Where would you recommend them researching? Are there good websites or books that you guys have read or come across that can help them kind of figure out what's the right certification, what each of them mean, what those certifications, what jobs they relate to. So I'll go around in the same order. So Sajay, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you want to do, but try to kill multiple birds with one stone. So try to get a cloud certification and then specialize in a certain field. So for example, AWS certification is a hot topic nowadays. It's a hot job market over there for AWS resources. So if you have an AWS certification, that's great. And then within AWS, you can specialize in data and analytics or system administration, or there's plenty of different types of certifications you can get in AWS. So I say go for the cloud ones. There's the Azure certifications, there's Google Cloud certifications, and like I said, there's specializations in all three of them. So do the cloud plus the specialization. I think that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. Imran Bhai?
Um, yeah, I agree with Saad. AWS is a hot market, it's a hot field. But now our audience has changed. Now our audience is not someone who is studying IT and getting out of college. Now our audience is someone who was in the medical field or some other maybe accounting field, and he or she wants to switch to IT. So of course they don't have that foundation. They don't have that the core understanding of IT. So my recommendation to always to those people is you need to know the core, and how you're gonna find that is through A plus. A plus is one of the certification that everyone has to take if you are or if you never had anything to do with IT in your life.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Saad K.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely correct. I can share my own personal experience, right? I studied accounting, but I didn't really find joy in it. But I liked numbers. I liked analytical side of it, right? So that's something that I always wanted to do, but I just didn't know where to start. So I've talked to a few friends and who are currently in RET. Um, and they're more on like software engineering, but I like the data side. So I started learning a few programs such as like Python, Tableau, SQL. SQL is relatively easier than other programming languages. And I started doing my own personal projects on it, right? Very small projects. I love sports, I love basketball. So I would download, I would go on ESPN and download the data or the stats for a particular team or particular player, and just start like making graphs out of it, start like looking at patterns. And you'll find what you like to do, but you just got to be able to have an open mind and, as Imran Bhai said, um, explore a little bit more, right? But have a core understanding, the basic understanding, and eventually you'll find what you want to do. But of course, have an open mind to learn different things. To just don't settle right away in the beginning, unless you think that's exactly what you want to do.
Perfect. Thank you. What are your guys? I'm gonna switch the order around. I'll start with Saad K first and go up. So what are your guys' thoughts on Google certifications that have come out? Like Google has this low cost certification program they've come out with. Any thoughts on whether that's a good route to go? Is there other routes? Like people ask, where's the best way to get a certification from? Because I know people personally who've taken courses with somebody who claims to be an expert who'll teach them a language. They take the course for 2, 3 months, they graduate from their course, and then they're like, I can't find a job. This course was not helpful. I have no guidance. They don't answer my emails anymore. So, how do people avoid spending thousands of dollars on a bad course? And what is a reasonable amount that they should be willing to spend on this? Especially think about someone in college doesn't have the ton of money maybe. So what's a reasonable amount of money to spend on some of these certifications, these courses, and what are the more reputable sources out there, and your thoughts on Google Analytics? So I'll turn it over to Saad K first.
That is a great question. I don't think there's one particular answer for this question. Um, there are multiple platforms, hundreds of thousands of platforms on the internet where you can grab certifications or just take courses, right? Again, I will come back to my examples, my life experience, right? When graduating out of college, I didn't really want to do accounting, So I took free courses at first, right? There you can find multiple free courses on like Harvard Business School sites, EDS. Um, I can't think of some of them from the top of my head. Even Google certifications that are there, which are free now. They're a great starting point, right? They can give you um, the basic, right? The ground building of anything that you want to learn, right? Some are advanced, but that's not where you want to start unless you have some core background in it. So start with the basic, and once you feel once you feel comfortable enough, right, you can start building more. But and then if you want to go into coding and like computer programming, I know a friend who was a med student also, dropped out second year of college, second year of med school, and went into IT. Went to a boot camp, paid 10K, and now he didn't graduate college, but now he's working for LinkedIn, and working as a software engineer, which he absolutely loves, right? Um, so you can take multiple certifications. Certifications does not guarantee you a job, right? But it is a great ground building up.
Okay, thank you. Imran Bhai?
All right, about the certification and people losing their money or losing their time. I think time is more valuable than money. Uh, what the reason is that I have seen people who actually spend 6 months to a year or even 2 years learning one thing, and when you find out, and when you ask them why did you choose this, they said, "Oh, because I have a friend who told me that." Many people you'll see come across this because they don't have the information that they need. So what they see is, hey, one guy got a job in networking. Oh, let me start networking. That's probably the right field. And the other guy is gonna get a job in programming. Let me start that. So now what happened to the time that he wasted in the first 6 months to a year in, for example, system administration? So I would say, as Saad suggested, that first take free courses. There are many free courses. You go online now, there's there's virtual training everywhere. You could find out if that's something you really wanted to do. Um, I know people who actually spent a lot of money learning programming and coding, and at the end of the day, they hate it because coding is not for everyone. But they just spend so much money and so much time. But why? All it takes, just sit down, maybe spend 1 month. Just give yourself a 1 month and go through the list of things that are out there, list of certification that are out there, list of fields that are out there, and go through asking people questions. What is it and what does it entails? Is that something really for me? Is that something I do really understand? Spend 1 month and then you pick one field or two field the most, and then go with it. Don't just leave it hanging in the middle. Maybe you do it for 6 months and then you realize, oh man, this is not for me. Do it. Persistent is the key. If you're gonna go and in the middle you're gonna realize, oh man, look, Raza got the job. I didn't get the job in this field. Forget it. I'm gonna do what Raza is doing. You're not gonna go anywhere. Stick to your guts and go with it.
Perfect. Thank you, Imran Bhai. So we did get a question before I go to Saad J that Momin asked how to maximize the benefits from an IT internship, especially in a remote environment. So now students who are getting internships, they're working remotely, they're not getting the FaceTime, they're not going to get to go to lunch or get coffee with their bosses. They're not seeing what everybody else is doing in the office. They can walk around and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, any thoughts? And I'll start with Saad J, and then maybe you can talk about the certifications and maybe start answering this question. Then we'll go around to the other speakers.
Sure. So yeah, as far as the certification goes, if it's technology specific, then only that vendor or that company certification matters. So I'll give you an example. If you want to get certified in SAP, only SAP certification from SAP matters. No other company. If if I get a resume that says I got SAP certification from ABC company, Doesn't matter. I want to see it. I want to see SAP certification that says that you know what you're doing. It's a little harder when it's not technology specific. So like SQL certification or something like that, that's where you really need help from people who've been in the industry for some time to tell you what people really care about. But technology specific ones, it's easy. And I wholeheartedly agree with the other guest speakers that try it out first yourself. There's a lot of free stuff out there. Go on YouTube. I personally have never paid for training. There's plenty of stuff out there. Even software. You go on Microsoft or AWS's website, they'll give you a free trial for like 3 months. So go do whatever you need to do for free. As far as certification goes, if it's technology specific, whether it's Oracle or Microsoft or AWS or SAP, only their certification counts and matters. How to maximize benefit from an IT internship, especially in a remote environment? Honestly, I don't think it differs very much in a remote environment versus a face-to-face environment. The big recommendation that I typically make to a lot of young folks is don't wait for the FaceTime, create the FaceTime. So there's no reason why you can't just schedule a 15-minute check-in with your boss or the director who's brought you in as an intern on a weekly basis, just to kind of talk about what's going on and, hey, am I doing a good job? How do you feel about my performance? Is there something that you need help with? Is there something that I can do for you? I've got time, whatever it is, right? So create that face-to-face time. Don't wait for it. And then don't just stay in the silo of what you've been hired to do. Start to network with other people. That's how I would say maximize benefit. You get to network, you get to make connections, and those connections lead to experiences and jobs. So if you got hired for an IT internship, go talk to the marketing guy, go talk to the finance guy, go talk to the accounting guy. And if it'll show that you're, for example, customer facing, you're customer oriented, you want to learn about the business. It shows that you're passionate. They expect you not to know anything. They expect you to make mistakes. But if you're passionate and they see that you are working hard, then from my perspective, if I see a person like that, I'm going to hire them immediately on the spot, and I'll get them up to speed because I can do that, but I can't create passion in a person. So.
Perfect. Thank you, Sajay. I'll turn it over to Imran Bhai and then Saad K next.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I tell you that. Well, good advice. So internship is not for the company. They actually provide this opportunity for you guys to learn. People in corporate world, they're busy. They're not gonna come after you and tell you, hey, this is how things are done. They're not gonna teach you. You have to maximize that opportunity for you. So regardless if it's remote or you're doing in person, I would say even remote is better. What do you want to do in the office? Maybe you're gonna put you to copy to do the do the a lot of faxing and Xerox copies. That's what you want to do. But find out who the right people are. Send an invite to them. Maybe they're busy, but they will get back to you and maximize your time.
Perfect. Thank you. Saad K?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think Sajay also hit on this point as well. It's one side is having the certifications and whatnot, but other aspect is, which is probably really important, if not as important, is being able to network, right? I think 40% of the new hires are like from referrals in today's age, right? So if you find a program or a certification that you want to do, use some of the resources that you have to network. Use LinkedIn. I think you get 1 month of free. If you're a student, I think you get 6 months of free LinkedIn. And then reach out to some of the folks in the industry. Some of them may reply, some of them may not reply, right? And I've been to meetup events where the young folks gather and talk about entrepreneurship, talk about coding, talk about programming, and understand what they do, but be curious, right? Have the curiosity, and ask questions, right? Show your passion, and maybe that one interaction leads to your next job, right? And I've seen people do it all the time. That's how I got my job, because I was so passionate about because I kept on learning about this company. I was like, hey, I really want to be here. Tell me more. Tell me more. I love what you guys do here, and that led to a referral, which I landed a job. Right. So when I landed the job, it wasn't about what I know, but it was about my curiosity. It was about how passionate I am to learn and how eager I am to grow. And that's what they'll look for if you don't have that experience, right? So you have to be able to display um, the eagerness to learn, and be a person who doesn't just take, who just doesn't do tasks, right? Be that person who goes an extra mile, but like, I want to change this. I want to change this. I can do it. Even if you don't want to do it, don't ever say no. Take the opportunity and figure it out.
Absolutely. And I'll echo that. When I was a manager at PwC, I would get interns all the time. Even when I was like a senior associate, I'd supervise these guys. And sometimes people don't realize, some maybe they got the internship too easily or something like that. It's that 1 month, 2 month internship is basically a 2 month interview, right? We're seeing everything you're doing, how you're behaving. At lunchtime, are you surfing the internet on Facebook, watching YouTube videos, HBO Max, or whatever? Are you focused? At sometimes, I remember one time we had to actually tell the interns, you guys need to stop using all the Internet Explorer and Chrome. We just want to see you working, right? Don't even they'll have those open on the side. So learning about, your team environment, what they want, focus on that. Say, what is important to you guys? Sometimes I'll have an intern and they'll spend 5 hours on something and I'll come back and say, that should have taken 1 hour to do. What were you doing for the extra 4 hours, right? And it's because you guys are right out of college. You don't know what you're doing, what's important, how to do it, what to focus on sometimes. And that's where the mentorship, I would say, is very important. I think all of you guys emphasize all the key aspects of all of that. So I just wanted to add that from my own experience. We did get two questions coming in. So one is from one of our colleagues, Junaid, and he says, I see that IT is going hand in hand with accounting and finance, right? So you guys will see IT is not sometimes by itself, it's integrated into some of the other programs. What do you recommend that business students should know in IT? So think about someone who's not a pure IT person, but they're doing business, accounting, finance, and what type of IT courses do you recommend some of them would know that would make your job easier? I know, like Saad, Jay, you probably deal with accounting, finance people, and they're like, you wish they understood some aspect of IT. What type of courses like Python, Tableau, do you recommend the average business student pick up from an IT skill perspective that will help you to better interact with them and help you guys work together better? I'll start with Sajay.
Yeah, a really good question, and I just want to comment on the internship thing real quick. A lot of you are probably hearing that, hey, I've got passion. That's easy. That's all I need. You know what? When you're young, you think that, oh, I can do it. I can do it. It's really hard. It's a lot harder to show that you've got passion. Actions speak louder than words. So hard work is important, passion, and it should show at your organization that you're interested, and take ownership of your own career. Don't wait for somebody else to manage it. Manage your own career. If you're an intern, put a plan in place on how you would get to a full-time position, or ask the question and then go execute against that plan. So going to the IT courses, I think the best helpful thing that you could do, or courses that you could, what you could learn is SQL. So I think if you were in finance and accounting, and you know SQL, out of the whole finance department, I think there's probably in my organization, out of, I don't know, I want to say there's probably 200-300 people in the finance organization. Probably 2 people know it. So if you know SQL and you go to a finance organization, you're probably going to be the top 10% in terms of skill set, and you're gonna be used heavily, because what SQL allows you to do is it reduces reliance on your IT organization to hand feed you or spoon feed you data. You can go get it yourself. And to the finance organization or accounting organization or any organization within the business, that's going to be extremely helpful, extremely valuable, because it gives them the ability to get to speed to market. So I say finance. I mean, SQL is good. Python would be even better, but Python is much more difficult to learn And typically those types of resources are considered, data scientists that learn Python. So I'd say SQL is probably the best thing, and get good at it. So you'll be very valuable.
Perfect, thank you. And I'll just add one other thing. Like I teach accounting and auditing at Queens College, and one of the skill software we've started teaching is Tableau. So we've started emphasizing Tableau, R Square, just for some basic data analysis. So, see if there's classes in your regular business curriculum that do teach a software skill along with the regular accounting curriculum, and try to take those classes would also be my suggestion, just to add on to what Saad said. I'll turn it on to Imran. Bye.
Sorry again. All right, so I didn't know actually. It's a very good advice that Saad gave about SQL. Definitely, a lot of business folks, they deal with a lot of spreadsheet, a lot of data, and they do need to pull a lot of those data for different reasons. And having that knowledge of how a query works, how data is saved, what's the structure of data, that's very helpful. That's definitely, I would say, hands down, that would definitely help them. Another thing, if I have to add a second certification or even a smaller course, I would say also learn about virtualization. Virtualization, almost 80 to 90% of the companies nowadays run on virtualization. Their hardware, their operating system. Um, and many times we hear the same complaint from a lot of business people, hey, my computer is running slow. And to explain it to them that why it's running slow is because you requested the resource to be that much, maybe 4 gig of memory, and you are running on virtual environment. So a lot of times it's very hard to explain them. So having that knowledge at hand is going to be very helpful for them if they know something a little more on virtualization.
Perfect, thank you. And Saad K.
I think the question is, it's a good question, but it's very vague and very broad, right? Because I think it mainly depends on the industry you're in, right? The department you're in, your job responsibilities. Um, because you may not need SQL is a great tool to learn, right? But you may not need SQL, right? You Tableau is a great tool. Power BI is a great tool to do certain job functionalities, right? But it really depends on your role and what you're trying to achieve. As an accounting student, um, and having a mixture of IT, um, these are important tools. But I think one thing that we are overlooking is Excel. Uh, that's probably one tool that we must try to master, right? Get a good understanding, because in college, we learn in accounting student, we learn everything doing a paper book, but having that experience using some of the formulas in Excel makes your life a lot easier. And when you're working with data sets that have, like, I don't know, like hundreds of thousands of rows, right? It can make your life really easy. Um, but again, it depends on your role, what you're trying to achieve. But having a general overall knowledge on what exactly IT is, what are different aspects of IT, and who's responsible for what, that's a great start. Whether you're on the product side, engineering side, or just strategic management. But also, I think IT requires, depending on your role as well, a lot of people management, right? And planning and resourcing, and being just having that grasp of knowledge of your industry knowledge, right? Understanding what your company does and how they do it well, and also understanding the other side, what don't they do well and what other competitors are doing. That can certainly give you advantage of what you're trying to produce and how you're trying to take over market share.
Perfect. That's really helpful, guys. Thank you so much. I know we have about 8 minutes left, so I'm going to try to use the time to the best of our ability. We had one other question that came in from Raham, saying, do you have any advice on careers in cybersecurity, since many companies are getting hacked? It's in the news all the time. So does that mean all of a sudden there's a lot more jobs in cybersecurity? Any tips on researching that or finding that out if they're interested? And have you seen a uptick in the amount of demand for jobs in cybersecurity. So maybe who wants to take a stab at this first? Maybe Imran by first this time.
Okay, I'll go. Well, again, it depends on if that's really what you wanted to do. Every IT field has its own pros and cons. Security is one, as we are growing, the everything in IT is growing. Their websites, launching every day almost. So, and also, believe it or not, the statistics says that there are 600,000 users that get onto the internet every day for the first time. So of course it creates opportunities, and not just for security, for many other things. But I would say it's, again, it really depends on you. If you enjoy it, um, spend some time to do a research, do your at least a couple of weeks to find out if that's something you wanted to do, then go for it.
Saad J or Saad K, do you guys want to add anything to that? Just feel free to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely echo Imran Bhai's points about making sure that you like the field. Um, I think there are three fields within IT that are kind of exploding. Data and analytics is one of them. Cybersecurity is the second one, and cloud is the third one. So if you're choosing cybersecurity and you like it, great, go for it. There's a lot of jobs out there. There's a lot of demand out there. I would recommend, I deal with data a lot, so data security is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And there's one main reason for that, and it's because of the new regulations that are coming out. So in Europe, there's GDPR type of regulations that have very strict restrictions on how data can be managed by different organizations. California came out with their privacy and regulation laws. It's called CCPA, and other states are starting to adopt that. So companies are starting to race to learn how we can manage our data. And one of the things, for example, CCPA says is if a customer requests their data to be deleted, you have to be able to delete that and showcase to them that that's deleted. So that's like a new thing, right? And it sounds kind of obvious, like, hey, why wouldn't you be able be able to do that? But it's new. That's regulation, and you have to be able to address that. So data security is becoming a big thing nowadays. One, because when companies get hacked, data is what's stolen. So data security is big. We're trying to figure out how to add different layers of security for data. So encryption when it comes to access, encryption at rest, encryption at movement of data, and then our ability to manage that data effectively, so that when a request comes in, or based on new regulation, that we have the ability to delete or manage or scrub that data. So data security is a big one. If you're thinking about cybersecurity, I definitely recommend looking at data security.
Okay, great.
And one thing I do want to add here, real quick, is one thing we are overlooking is about the work and life balance as well. Now, some of these jobs do require a lot of attention, a lot of work hours. So if there is a website or your data is compromised, you got to be there, and no matter how long it'll take, you have to get it fixed. And you're going to be on the line at all the times. You're going to be the frontline defenders, frontline guy who's dealing with it. So keep that in mind. Look at the hours. Look at the time that an average security guy is putting in every week. If it's 60, 80 hours, is that something you're ready to do? And those statistics, those numbers are out on online. So check it out.
Perfect. Thank you. So we're in the last 3 minutes.
Just wanted to add
Go ahead.
one point to that. Sorry.
Go ahead, Saad.
And I think what's really important as well is get a mentor, right? Find a mentor in these different fields and ask them questions. Ask them what their day-to-day work is like. Ask them if they're able to spend time with their families, right? Ask them if these jobs are lucrative, and ask them about like some of the projects that they work on, right? And if that sounds like something that you can do, you're able to do, you want to do, then certainly pursue it. But definitely find people that work in these fields and reach out to them and ask them as many questions as you possibly can.
Perfect. Thank you. So we have about we're going to go 1 or 2 minutes over, which I think is probably going to be okay. So what I would like to do is turn it over to each of you for 1 full minute. Like, think about talking to yourself from when you were in high school or college. What advice would you give to yourself if you were to travel back in time and meet yourself, or someone graduating now in college? What would be the 1 minute worth of advice that you could give to them? Sajay.
So I definitely go with Satke's advice, Brother Satke's advice, find a mentor, because honestly, like we've got a lot of experience in this field. So the stuff that we're saying, in all honesty, the folks, if you're just starting out, you probably don't realize the value of that, and you probably don't fully comprehend or understand what we're saying. So you need somebody experienced to kind of day to day help you figure out what we're trying to say, and help you make decisions based on our experience. So find a mentor, find somebody who's got experience in the field, and over time you'll start to appreciate what they're saying. And maybe 10 years down the line, you'll be like, wow, now I realize what that person really was talking about, because it's, you know, because you've got the right context to fully comprehend what we're saying. So, not to be rude or anything like that, but I think a lot of this stuff is probably going over your head. And even if you think you comprehend it, I can guarantee you probably don't fully comprehend it. So find a mentor. That would be my last, and that would be my advice.
Perfect. Thank you, Saad. And then Imran, by your advice to yourself for a college student.
Yeah, no, that's good. The good thing is that we all speaking the same language. Definitely, mentor is someone who shapes your life. My mentor, if I had not met him 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I would have been here where I am today. And I'm making a lot of huge differences in my life that I was not able to make 5 years before. So definitely go for mentorship. Uh, you do have the resources. This is a great platform. Anybody who needs a mentor, talk to Zohaib, or anybody who is conducting these sessions, and ask for help. To If you want someone to be your mentor, ask for how many hours they could spare you. And one thing I always leave and give this advice to everyone, that there are always two type of people in the world. One who is unfortunate, and one is unlucky. Unlucky are those people who actually never find a mentor. They never come across anyone. They never come across with sessions that like you are conducting. And there are unfortunate people who actually are probably right now in this session, but they're not going to take advantage of that. So I always says, you better be unlucky than unfortunate.
Perfect. Thank you, Imran. By Saad K, your final thoughts or your advice to yourself if you were to travel back in time.
Yeah, you guys are absolutely right. Two things I would, well, three things I would say is first, prioritize your time, right? Plan out your daily schedule, understand what you want to accomplish, um, and then set goals for yourself on a daily basis, right? And then they don't have to be something so severe that they're not attainable, right? So set goals that you can reach on a daily basis and keep track of that. Again, second point will be networking. Make sure you speak to people, step out the box, right? Get out your comfort zone, go meet people, go talk to people, do your research. But finally, my final point will be something that we're all forgetting about is make dua, right? Pray two nafils every day and ask Allah to simplify this process for you. And that helped me a lot. And I know I did, like, I picked one namaz on my daily basis, and I would just pray two nafil every day, and I said, Allah, please help me with my decision and make this easy for me, and guide me, show me the way, right, and 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 show me the way, and that helps, that helps you. Uh, it helped me personally, knowing that there's all this a greater being or superior power that will guide you, and whatever Allah has promised, you will get it, but you have to put the work, right? As long as you put the work, Allah will grant it to you, and make dua, meet people, but do your work, do your part, and let Allah take care of the rest of it.
Perfect. Jazakallah khair. I think that's a beautiful way to end the session. So thank you everybody for joining us. and then we'll be catching up in 2 weeks. Will be our next session, so not next week, not July 4th. Sorry, June 4th. It'll be June 11th, and the topic will be engineering most likely, but we will announce it once we have a final topic. So thank you to all of our guest speakers, and we ask all of you guys to stay around when the session ends so we can debrief as well. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you, everybody.
Wa alaikum salam.